What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And today I'll be going through my round 23 AFL tips and predictions, as well as going through my big calls and predictions for round 22. So yeah, let's quickly see what I did last week in round 22. It was pretty easy round of tipping, honestly, to get. Most people got around the 6, 7, 8 mark. I got 6 myself. A few tips that are quite questionable. I tipped the Giants in, you could say, a bit of a 50-50. Hawthorn, no one got correct. Tipped the Bulldogs, and then I tipped Carlton. I was inches away from changing. Everything was going against me in leading up to the game for my tip for Carlton going correct. I should have just changed it, but I just thought, for whatever reason, if the Blues win, how pissed off I would be if I did change the tip. But no, got that one incorrect. Then I got the next 6 correct. Then I got the next 5 games correct until the last game, in which I tipped the Eagles, thinking that they historically get it done in derbies and in the big games, but the Dockers, instead, they got the upset victory. So 6 out of 9, all right. Probably an average result for most people. I know a lot of people got 7s and 8s. Probably should have got 7 if I would have just tipped the power. And the big calls, the first game, GWS v Richmond, predicted Matty Parker to kick 3 or more goals. He barely touched the footy. You barely saw him in the game, so I got that one incorrect. Next game, Bulldogs v Hawthorn. This is a very funny, bold prediction. I predicted the Dogs will score 6 or more goals in any quarter. And take this, they didn't even kick 6 goals in the entire game. They kicked 5 goals, 7. So, staggering stuff there. Got that one incorrect. The next game, Port Adelaide v Carlton. I predicted that Port Adelaide would score 15 or more behinds. And they scored 14 behinds, of course. Next game between St Kilda and Geelong. I predicted that Jack Steele will have 150 fantasy points. And halfway through the second quarter, it was looking very likely. He had 20 touches, on track for 50. And just like the Saints, just stopped at that point. And yeah, we didn't look the same since Steele stopped playing well. And only ended up with 30. Still an alright game, but like, yeah, a bit disappointing. The next game, we've got Brisbane v Collingwood. My big call was for the Pies to trial by 40 or more points at any stage, and this definitely happened. They lost by 85, and by far their biggest loss of the season. Both Carlton and Collingwood, quick side note, I think their biggest loss of the season for both, with 36 for the Blues and 30 for the Pies. They got smashed by 95 and 85 respectively. Next game, North v Sydney. I predicted there to be 5 lead changes before half time, and that didn't happen. I think the Swans were up by a majority, or if not all, of the first half. Move on to the Sunday games, and in the first game, I predicted Oliver to have 40 or more touches against the Crows. He only had 28, so I got that one incorrect. Gold Coast v Essendon, stupid decision. Brighton King to combine for 8 or more goals, and the Suns only scored half of that, 4 goals, 6. And in the Freo v West Coast game, the Derby, I said that the lowest score would be 90. However, it was 64. So it was a pretty poor result in terms of the big calls. The only one I got correct was the Brisbane v Collingwood game, so 1 out of 9. Chocks, I got the most likes, the 164. The punishment was if the Saints don't make the 8, then I've got to do all the punishments that I haven't done. So a bit of a weird punishment, because I was already going to do all the punishments, or at least planning on during the times in the off-season. It doesn't look like the Saints making the 8 from this position, so it looks like that the punishments throughout the remainder of this year will be done, and I might upload them on my second channel. So if you haven't subscribed, chuck sub to More Cardman, link in description. And I do want to do a punishment for this week, considering I haven't done one in a couple of weeks. So tonight, as of filming this, I'm going to be sleeping on the trampoline. Mitchie Ryan's punishment, they got the most likes a few weeks prior. It's going to be very wet tonight. I'm pretty sure there's going to be rain, so I'll be sleeping on the trampoline in pretty crap conditions, but I guess that's what a punishment is, isn't it? It's not something that you want to do. Alrighty, so set the layup. I've got a towel just in case the rain, if there is rain, which there probably will be rain, soaks through the trampoline. I've got a few blankets. This one's a good blanket because if it gets wet, it doesn't really matter. It'll still keep me warm. Got a few pillows, a few blankets. If it gets too bad, I guess I'll give you a bit of an update. Like if it starts buckling down with the rain, or if it gets too cold, I might need to go get another blanket. But I've done this before. You've seen a weekly vlog. It was the worst night's sleep I've ever had, but that was with no blankets. And I think this should be a little bit better. Not being able to get much sleep because it's fucking raining. It's bloody raining. As you can see, it's wet as shit. It's been a dreadful sleep as of so far. And look, I've got a stream at 7:30 tomorrow. It's 5. I've been here for 6 hours. I'm gonna move to my room, get some proper sleep. But yeah, let's get straight into the round 23 tips. And before we do get into them, the fixture hasn't officially been announced for round 23 yet, but I wanted to get this filmed before the Tuesday. So what I've done is I found this screenshot of the proposed round fixture, which is most likely going to happen. We'll go by that, but all is subject to change, so do not take my word for any of these games, but it's the likely outcome for these the games. So the first game that's most likely going to happen with a Friday night clash between the Western Bulldogs and Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. Now, if this is a Friday night game, I'll be streaming it, and it's quite an important game for both sides in shaping the top four. The Dogs, you would have thought a couple of weeks ago, especially with Essendon and Hawks to come, that it's a 100% guaranteed they will finish in the top four. And it was a question whether or not they were going to finish top two or not. But now, if they lose this game to Port Adelaide and the Lions get a pretty convincing win against the Eagles, which you'd expect would happen, the Dogs do actually slip out of the top four. Last week, the Dogs, I watched this game for a bit. The Hawks were just way too strong for the Dogs. Every time the Dogs tried to attack it, the Hawks just set up just brilliant defensively. It was a great coaching masterclass. And the Dogs, just couldn't get anything going. It was quite frustrating for them and quite frustrating to watch as a neutral. I wanted to see a nice, flowing, high-scoring game. The opposite of that happened, but the Hawks got a really good win. And the Doggies have a few issues going up forward, and especially come finals time, they really want to get a win here against the Power. But the Power probably had the best game out of any side last week against the Blues. The first quarter and a half, it was a bit of an even game, quite iffy. In fact, if anything, the Blues, I would say, had the upper hand. They had a 23-point lead, and then it just all went pear-shaped. The Power kicked the next 19 goals of the game to completely roll over the Blues by 95 points in their worst loss of the season by far. And Mark Murphy, not a great way to send off a legend for his 300th. A few problems down in Carlton, but the Power got a really, really good win. If they win this, there is actually a chance that they could potentially finish top, I'm pretty sure, but definitely top two chances if they win this game. It's a 50-50, really. It's at Marvel, and the Power haven't been a top four side yet this season. It'd be a great way to start if they can do it before the finals, especially without the pre-final bye. They get straight into it after beating a top four side, but I just don't know if it's going to happen. I feel like the Dogs are going to have to bounce back. I just can't see them not finishing the top four. The Power, I think, will still make the top four, so it doesn't matter if they win this or not in top four chances, but I think the Dogs have too much to play for in this one, so I'm going to take the Bulldogs to win this one by 19 points, with my big Paul, Kobe Waitman and Aaron Norton combined for 7 or more goals. Now the next game, which is most likely going to happen as the next fixture, is Saturday v Gold Coast. Saturday v Gold Coast. To be confirmed at the location, so got no idea where it's going to be played. Last week, the Swans had a pretty gritty win against North. They had control of most of the game, but North sort of brought back the margin late in that game. And it was 4 points at one stage before the Swans got a few goals to solidify the win. And it's an important one. It didn't really mean much, but just important to get a bit of a form back. And the Suns had quite a disappointing game against the Bombers. I know it was at a neutral ground, but you would have expected them to put up a little bit more of a fight after their pretty impressive win against the Blues the week prior. And they, going down by 69 points is quite disappointing for them. I think this is quite a self-explanatory result. I think we can all agree that the Swans will probably win this. Earlier this year, the Suns actually did beat the Swans, but the Swans, I reckon, will get the job done. And if they win this, the Swans, they could finish as high as 5th, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they'll finish in the top 4, but that's if the Lions do lose this week. So I'll be tipping Sydney to win a big one here. I'm going to go Sydney to win this game by 57 points, with my big call being that the Swans kicked 22 or more goals throughout the game. Now, the next supposedly scheduled match is between Richmond and Hawthorn at the MCG on a Saturday. And the Tigers are into some shambles. They were absolutely deplorable by halftime against the Giants. I think it was 50 points at halftime. And I did predict it on my stream that it wasn't going to blow out anymore. I had a prediction that the Tigers would reduce the margin, which they did. But it was just a poor game and all up for the Tigers. And that puts a line through their season. 99% of a chance they're not making finals. With that 1% chance, the impossible might happen for them to have any chance. But however, on the contrary, the Hawks' form as of late has been very, very impressive. They drew to the D's, beat the Lions, beat the Dogs. These sides are predicted to finish in the top 5, and they're playing that well against these sides. The Tigers, you can't compare them to the sides the Hawks beat as of late this year. So I reckon the Hawks definitely are the more likely side to win it based off form, and I'm going to be tipping them. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't be tipping the Hawks. The Tigers have nothing to play for. the Hawks, last game for Burgoyne and Clarkson, why wouldn't they put on a performance for them? So I'm going to tip the Hawks, 27 points. With my big call, less than 17 goals scored combined in this game. Hawks, very well defensive, played very well defensively last week against the Dogs. They'll back it up against the Tigers in this one. Next game, we've got Adelaide v North Melbourne at Adelaide Oval. Completely irrelevant game in terms of shaping the ladder. I think Crows last week lost to the D's by 42. Not much to say, really. You expected this sort of result to happen, in which it did. And North Melbourne were alright against the Swans. They almost, stole the lead in that last quarter, but the Swans are a much better outfit, so you would expect them to get the job done. But, both sides weren't too bad last week, that's for sure. And this one being played at Adelaide Oval, I think that Adelaide home fans will just carry the Crows here. And I think, it's going to be a close one. It's going to definitely be a close one. It could go either way. I'll tip the Crows in a little bit of an upset, you could say, by 5 points, with my big call being that there'll be 10 or more lead changes throughout the game. Next up, we've got another really big clash in shaping the top 4. We've got Geelong and Melbourne. I think, it says MCG. I'm pretty sure it's a GMHBA, but on this thing it says the MCG. You'd think it'd be a GMHBA. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but yeah, let's just say it is at the GMHBA Stadium. The Cats would have the advantage. They had an impressive win against the Saints the week prior after being challenged early on, conceding the first 5 goals, but they were just, super impressive. They took control of that game after quarter time, and it was unfortunate as a Saints fan. It ruined our season. The D's, had a good win against the Crows at the G last week. Fritsch kicked 7. I didn't watch this game, but, it was the sort of game that you'd expect the D's to just cross off as a win. And if they win this game against the Cats, they finish top. So it's quite an important game for them, really. But I'm going to tip the Cats in this one. I think the Cats are a slightly better outfit, especially as of late. So I'll go the Cats in this one by 20 points. With my big call, Paddy Dangerfield has 35 or more touches. And the last game of Saturday, which is supposedly going to happen, is between Brisbane and the West Coast Eagles at the Gabba. The Lions are in some unbelievable form as of late, smashing the Dockers by 70 and then backing it up with a massive win against the Pies by 85. They look like one of the best sides of the comp at the moment. They're playing really good footy, and now coming up against the Eagles, who are vulnerable to big losses. This could legitimately get ugly for the Eagles. I give them no chance to win this one. I thought surely they're going to beat the Dockers last week in the Derby, to at least book a spot in the finals, but that didn't happen. They messed it up, and now I don't see them making finals. Very slim chance of them winning this game, in my opinion. The Lions just are a much better side, and they have a top 4 spot to play for. If they win this game and the Dogs lose, and the percentage is, if they win this game comfortably, the Dogs are out of the top 4. So big game for the Lions, and the Lions, I reckon, will win. And win big. They'll win the game by 47 points with my big call. The Lions lead by 8 or more goals at half time. Now, these are the Sunday games, the most important games of the round in shaping the top 8. This one, probably no bigger game. Essendon beat Collingwood at the MCG. If Essendon win this game, they make the top 8. It's as simple as that. And they had a really good win against the Suns last week by 69 points. You expected them to get the job done, but they did it in emphatic fashion. The Suns were quite disappointing. And speaking of disappointing, the Pies had their biggest loss of the season. Their defense was quite weak, but it shouldn't excuse an 85-point loss, no matter who you are. So you would think on paper the Bombers should go into this one winning the game, but part of me reckons some sort of upset's going to happen. Part of me reckons the Pies will just pull something out of their assholes and win this game. It's something similar to a 2017 where I think the D's just needed to win the game to make finals. And it was against the Pies, who were worse than them that year. And they lost that, and then they relied on the following game that same day, Adelaide v West Coast, and West Coast somehow got the job done. So this could be a very similar result. Essendon lose this, and then the Freo could potentially win it later on. And I'm going to go for that result. It'll make things really, really interesting when I stream the Saints v Dockers game if this happens, but we'll go an upset. Bombers shit the bed and the Pies win it by 17 points. And my big call, the Pies kick 5 or more goals in the first quarter. Next game, we have Carlton v GWS at Marvel. Another important game, especially for the Giants. If they want to make the top 8, they've got to win this one. The Blues had a deplorable they had a deplorable game against the Power last week, conceding the last 19 goals of the game. It was up there with one of the most goals in a row kicked by a side in a game. Not looking good for the Blues. Not a great way to finish the season. And the Giants had a very, very good win against the Tigers. They look like one of the best sides in the comp, especially in that first half against the Tigers. And yeah, they just got a really good win, and they should make finals from here. They really should, which is quite unbelievable considering all the losses they've had to crap sides this year. The fact that they're still probably going to make the finals. The Blues, yeah, I don't see them winning this one. I'll go the Giants, but I'll go a close one. I reckon the Blues will put up a bit of a fight and only lose the game by 6 points. Big call. The Blues kick 5 final quarter goals to make a little bit of a push late in the game. And the last game of the round supposedly will be between the Saints and the Dockers at, well, I thought it was going to be at Marvel, but it might be played at GMHBA or somewhere else, considering the other 2 games are in Melbourne scheduled. Massive game. However, if the Bombers win against the Pies, it's probably not going to mean too much, quite honestly. So I sort of hope that the Bombers lose so we can end the Dockers' final chances by beating them in this one. The Saints last week, we had one of our best starts to a game I've seen in recent memory, kicking 5 goals to none to start off the proceedings against the Cats at GMHBA, but it all went pear-shaped after quarter time, and we were honestly lucky to be in the contest by 3/4 time. The Cats just kept getting inside 50 after inside 50, but not able to capitalise. We weren't able to get inside 50, but whenever we did, we, for whatever reason, found a way to get a goal, which kept us in the game, but eventually the floodgates broke in a way, and the Cats got the job done by 14, but I don't think we played too bad. We showed signs, and I'm quite, content with the way we played, but it was a bit disappointing that we couldn't get the job done. Season over for us, and the Dockers we play in the last round, who did beat the Eagles in their first win in the Derby for 11 years, I think it was. 11 games. So, massive for the Dockers. Their season, unbelievably, is still alive. But I think in this one, I'm going to go the Saints. We never play well when, we've got a lot to play for. But this game, we've got nothing to play for. Dockers, they tend to, shit the bed when they've got a really important game. And the Dockers aren't really a great side at Marvel or really in Melbourne, full stop. So I'm going to go the Saints in this one by 11 points. Big call and an absolute thriller. The Saints kicked the last 2 goals of the game. So there we go. Those were my final round 23 AFL 2021 predictions. The final home and away predictions for this year. It's been an alright round of tipping, but at the same time, it hasn't been the best. And I'm pretty sure with the tipping comp, it goes until the finals. I don't know. Well, to be honest with you, I'll have to check because the ESPN tipping app's updating. I can't be bothered. But yeah, I'll be continuing the tipping throughout finals. So look out for that. I probably won't do big calls, or I might just do it for the first week of finals and then stop it and do the other ones that I got to do. But yeah, thanks all for watching. Leave your tips down below of what you guys reckon will happen in this week. It's a massive round of footy. Last round of the season's always very important and significant, and I'm going to be very intrigued to see what happens in this round. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching this video, and I'll see you guys soon in my next one.